What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. Toteg and Tambo, and we're back. The W in Wednesday stands for winners. I got some winners on here with me. Going to talk about that in a second, but we're back. Hardwood Show here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Do us a favor on that way in. Smash that like. We got to get those likes going today. We're going to get a number up here in a second. Going to bring in my guys. We got DC filling in for my other guy, Locks, and then we got Title Crown. And I changed your name, Title, because my first time seeing you, I get to congratulate you on the title, the crown, the boss, the drafters, best ball champion for 2022/23. Trickled in $250K, buddy. What's going on? Congratulations to Title. How you doing?
Much appreciated, Tambo. Always appreciate it. You've had some big hits. A lot of people at RPS, a lot of big hits. I'm more of in the cash streets, not as many big GPP hits over here. DC had the big one during baseball, the 50K one, which was fun to sweat. So, yeah, it felt nice getting in that circle. Playoff best ball is going on, too. So, more money to be made in the best ball streets. Today, I found a ticket somehow. Found a ticket in this 2,500. So, hoping to parlay that into a big win tonight. A lot of RPS members in that. Should be a fun night. Excited to talk some hoops. DC's in for Locks, but I really appreciate it, Tambo.
Of course. You can buy in anyway if you didn't find a ticket.
No,
1% of those winnings, it's only $2,500, baby. We've only just begun. It's going to be a good season here. A lot of NBA to talk still. DC, I'll bring you in, man. Always fun. We don't get to do a lot of shows together, but I love when we do. And I know that's why you joined. I put the thing out. Can anyone help cover? Oh, of course I'll do it with me. And it's either Title or it's me. You tell the people. Who is it, DC?
No, both of you guys, man. I just saw that it wasn't Holden, so I was for the show, and I wanted to get in on the Tambo puns. They're already coming out early. Title Crown, I like that. That's a good name for them. And we're talking about sweats, getting big wins on sweats. Tell you didn't even have to sweat that thing. With like 2 weeks to go, you had that thing on absolute lockdown. Everybody else was grinding out every point for every best ball team. You just drafted the stone nuts, and it wasn't even most of the best balls, like you go into like little pods, right? You got to get first of 6 or first of 10 in week 15, 16, and then 17. Yours was just a full season PPR point. So, like even if you drafted that dominant team on underdog, it still would have been a sweat. But the way you had it, you just picked the best guys and cruised to victory. So yeah, huge congrats, and got to feel good for kind of a cash game guy getting that big old bankroll boost. Yeah,
no doubt. And your Chiefs hat, you got a new Chiefs hat. People are already talking about it. The guy, I got a Chiefs jersey coming over in town. Jerick McKinnon, huge fan. Hope I meet that man one day. I mean, because I don't like best ball. It's such a long season. I don't really start sweating it until week 14, week 15. And that's when I tuned in. I saw I was in first. And literally ever since I checked Jerick McKinnon every week, I mean, it was unstoppable. Like I had bad weeks from Josh Jacobs, Jefferson, Higgins, all of them. But Jerick McKinnon was the hero. So, yeah.
Did he have a touchdown in like 6 straight weeks or something crazy like that?
Yeah, ever since I followed, he was in the box for sure. And
the
Jefferson
guy you might want to meet is Mecole Hardman. You should really thank him because his injury was the product of the McKinnon success. So either way, excellent setup for you. Very nice hat, DC. I know JSU was rude yesterday, did not congratulate you on the new hat after calling all the other ones dusty. So I'm in watching the shows. Happy to be here with you guys. Happy that everybody could be here with us. We're just about to cross 100 likes. Let's go for 400 today. We hit 300, 350, no problem last week. I feel very good about it. It's Title. You got to congratulate him and just give the man a free like. That's all he needs. He'll take that, and I know that he appreciates it. And Title, 8-game slate. We're not on here to talk through 13, 14 games tonight, so we'll see how long I can actually drag it out with 8 games. Hopefully get through it. We like to talk, but what's your grand scheme overview, as we always like to talk about when it comes to this slate? What are you waiting on? What do you see? How do you see things shaping up tonight?
Yeah, it looks like a pretty cool 8-game slate. Like, it's not one spot where the Heat were just jamming them in. The Suns are still thin again. They played yesterday. If I had to pick one team that, like, who's the guys on the slate that we're targeting, I would say the Suns. But I don't think we need to jam in 4 or 5. I think you could play 4, but don't think that's the only way you can go. We are waiting on news as always. Some questionable tags are waiting on the big news. Porzingis is questionable. Daniel Gafford's questionable for Washington. Anthony Edwards is questionable. RJ Barrett's questionable. For Boston, Smart, Robert Williams questionable. Keldon Johnson also questionable. So we are still waiting on some pretty big news as always. If we don't get on this show, Up to Lock show, we'll cover it. But it's the Suns right now. Giannis on this slate. It's a good slate. I'm excited to dive into it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. DC, what do you see, man? I know the Phoenix thing is a big deal. Like someone said in the chat, do they even have enough players? It's crazy when it comes down to it. Hey, that was said last night, and they went out and beat the Warriors. So we'll see back to back. What are your thoughts on this slate? What are your first thoughts when you look into it?
Yeah, Suns are obviously a big question mark. I didn't honestly think they were going to be able to compete with a newly full-strength Warrior squad that got Steph back, Wiggins back recently. They had their big four out there on national television in not Oracle anymore, but whatever it's called, in Golden State. And, man, they came out on fire in that game. They're 13.5-point favorites, I think, going into Denver tonight. I assume it was something like that. I'm not sure off the top of my head against the Warriors, but I don't know. Pretty tough to go back-to-back. Toughest place to play on the second half of back-to-back in Denver after that big win. Still shorthanded. So, I think we could see that game perhaps go a different direction than we saw last night. So that's a talking point. If it does, maybe some of those guys that people rolled up on the Sun, seeing the box score from yesterday, potentially bust. So that's an interesting spot. And then, some of the biggest news is in the two 7 p.m. games, Chicago, Washington, and Minnesota, Detroit. We'll see how the injury news shakes out in those games, but potential game stacks there. There's a few games tonight where I think you could go kind of the game stack route and potentially get there. So I do like this slate here on Wednesday.
That's why I like doing a show with my guy DC. He likes a little game stack. I love the correlation factor. You don't ever have to do it, of course, in NBA, but it always just feels a little nicer when those pieces of the puzzle go together beforehand. Sometimes it doesn't look good or pretty at the end, and you realize you got the puzzle wrong, but it's a fun time trying to build them together. That's what we're going to try and do here. Title, if nothing else to add, man.
Chase Bank, DC. Shark said Chase Bank, not Oracle now. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I knew it was something else, but I didn't know the name of it. Yeah.
How dare you not know the names of the arenas?
Isn't Chase
thank you, though.
Field, Chase Bank? Chase is all over the place.
Yeah.
How's the Miami Heat arena still named FTX?
Yeah, FTX.
that is an interesting one. They signed up for that. So Randone's in the chat said just picked up the Porsche. Let's ship tonight, boys. So
okay, Randone.
Okay, we hear you out there. Good little flex in the chat. We appreciate it.
Must have got a loan from Title.
Yeah,
he had it
way around.
He had it before. When he took me shopping for the Gucci shirts, we rolled out in the Porsche. So Little Italy, we checked out. We did a bunch of little spots down there in San Diego. You
haven't rocked any of those shirts that you and him got when you were shopping.
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason why I didn't, because I didn't buy any of those shirts. They were definitely not for me. I've seen both you guys before. That's not me. That's not my style. This guy's like a tall, slender dude. I'm the complete opposite. So not putting
I don't think anybody on this show is rocking the Gucci shirt. So.
No, I don't think so. All right, let's try and get it going here. Let's hop in. You could buy Gucci shirts right now, but that's not one. Let's start off. Like you said, Title, I think, DC mentioned it some too. We are going to get that news for these first couple of games. We'll probably get it by the end of the show. Obviously, we've got Porzingis Gafford in this first one. We've got Ant in the second one. But, Title, let's start with Chicago, Washington. Not the highest total, but solid spread. It's pretty close, right? So what do you see here in this game? What stands out to you in the first one?
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't ignore this game to start off for sure. I'll start with the Bulls side. DeMar DeRozan's now doubtful. I mean, the best player on the floor is on the team's doubtful. Zach LaVine's only 8K. He gets a huge bump. He's going to be mega chalk without DeRozan. Like Zach LaVine, you can always fade in tournaments. I'm curious to see what you two are going to say, because he can put up 40 real points and finish with 44 DK points. So if he's going to be one of the chalkiest on the slate on an 8-gamer, I think you could get away in tournaments. But yeah, point per dollar, he grades out really well. But it's not just Zach LaVine. I mean, Vooch at 8-1, he's going to be a lot less owned. I think going to him is very sharp. But you have to look at these cheaper guys too. Io at 4K, Caruso 3-4, Kobe White 3-3. I mean, this value, they're not must by any means. We do have Phoenix value that we can go to as well. But I think these guys are, if they're going to be way less owned, which I'm not sure exactly where ownership's going to go. We're still waiting on news. But these guys are significantly lower owned than the Phoenix guys. I think we can come here for value. DeMar being out is so big. You get a great matchup against Washington. So, yeah, I would rank them LaVine, Kobe White, Caruso, Io probably. I mean, Vooch right in there as well. I think all five are in play. Going to the Washington side, we have to wait on Porzingis news and Gafford news. If all of them are in, I don't think we really need to get to Washington. If they're out, Kyle Kuzma definitely gets a big bump. Rui is still cheap at 4.6. I mean, if Gafford's out, they're really thin in the front court. I'm not playing Taz or something, though. So Kuzma, the biggest bump. Rui on DK got a good price. If Porzingis is in, I don't think we need to touch Washington.
Yeah, I like that call. And our guy Tyler in the chat before I come to you, DC, with the bets. I like this one. I bet it live while Title was talking. This guy takes so many threes. Levine, he takes like 14 3-point attempts a game. He's hit over 4 in 4 of his last 5. And he said it's
like that.
over 3.5 is a plus 145 on my book, plus 140 out there. So we don't talk a lot of bets on this show, but I actually do like that one quite a bit, especially with the downgrade to DeRozan. You could just see Levine chuck. And to Title's point, DC, it's always interesting with him, like very safe cash game style play. Like it's floor upside combo is there, but like Title said, it could be 40 real points and 44 DK points. So what's your thoughts on this game, DC? Break it down for us.
Yeah, I think Levine looks really good here. He's obviously going to be popular. People are going to be on him. But if you look at, he kind of splits the playmaking duties with DeMar DeRozan a little bit. Neither of them are the point guard in name, but the point guards on the Bulls are kind of the caretaker type point guards, right? Yeah, they'll dribble the ball up the court, but initiating the offense, like Dosunmu, Caruso, Kobe White, those guys, they're not really big offensive threats, right? Kind of good defenders. Again, they're to get the ball up the court. But then it kind of goes to mostly Levine and DeRozan. You take DeRozan off the court. I mean, how many games has DeRozan even missed this year? It's got to be just a couple, if any. I can't really remember any that he's out. So, yeah, Levine, I mean, he's put up big games recently with DeRozan in there against some pretty tough teams. 48 against Boston, 62 against Philly, 44 against Cleveland. Now he's got a great matchup. No DeRozan. Yeah, I think Levine, I think the floor is, 35 here, probably 40. And I do think he's going to get 5+ assists. So I don't know what the number is there, but yeah, I'm in on Levine. I like Vucevic too. I don't play the Bulls all that often because they're big three. Vucevic, Levine, DeRozan are almost always healthy and playing. But with DeRozan off the court, that changes things. So I'm in on Levine at number 1, Vucevic 2. Probably not going to go to their point guards, just those two guys. And then we'll see with Washington. I'll be surprised if both Porzingis and Gafford miss. But if that did happen, I mean, Washington doesn't really have much left in the front court. I don't even know who would start at center. I guess maybe Taj Gibson, but like Tell said, I don't think I'm playing him. So I think, at that point, Kuzma and Hachimura, I think, would become pretty interesting plays. Obviously, both guys are decent plays anyway, but would get a big bump if Porzingis was off the court. And then, yeah, if one of Porzingis is off, Gafford, of course, becomes good. But it would become really interesting if both Porzingis and Gafford did have to miss.
Just an update, DC. Both out. Gafford and Porzingis out. So, I mean, you talked about some of it. They've got Corey Kispert as a game time decision as well. So we'll see how that shakes out.
I really like Rui.
What's that?
Yeah. I like Rui.
Yeah.
Hachimura, 4.6K. That price really stands like. I don't know what they're gonna do, man. Like
they got to start a real center, I think, against Vucevic, right? I mean, he's not a guy that you can just.
All they have is Taj and Vernon Carey is heaving up like that dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's up, but he's playing like 1-2 minutes a game, just at the very end of garbage time mostly.
That's what I mean. Like maybe they do go some with Rui at the 5. Vooch. It's not like I don't know. He could expose it, but he does. Doesn't
that sometimes happen, Title, where people just go immediately to who's the backup, and then it's like, no, it ain't the backup. It's the guy on the other side. And the chat's already blowing up with it now. Vooch will have a field day. Vooch going to eat.
Yeah, if he sits down low, as long as he can sometimes sit in the perimeter, which can be annoying. But it's definitely looks to be a great Vooch game.
I would assume they'll start Taj Gibson.
That's my guess. But.
Yeah, I think they almost have to. He's playing some minutes, but I don't think I can play Taj Gibson. I just don't think he's got any upside, and the floor is it's so low, right?
It's never a fun roster. It wasn't even a fun roster in 2013. It's definitely not fun now.
You're praying for 20 points if you play Taj Gibson, right?
Big T is going to be on the show and be like, what, he's 3K? I assume he's 3K.
3,100.
What, 3,100, yeah. 3,100 starting Taj. That's just a Big T. So I get it. I don't know.
Minus points for the spelling error, but our guy Hammer, Taj will be on a respirator after the first quarter. Yeah. This is, I don't know. I think it is interesting. We talk about this stuff all the time, a little bit of theory and just in general, different positions. So it does shake up your roster construction, but 8K Levine with DeRozan assumed out, we'll see, but moved to doubtful. We would expect it. 8,100 Vooch at the center position where there is other options that we're going to talk about. You've got Landale, who people were playing last night. You've got Jokic, Biyombo, Gobert. Like people are talking about all these guys. So I do think that's at least a little bit interesting title. Did you have any extra thoughts there on that stuff?
No, I definitely like Vooch in this spot. I think you go cheap with the Bulls. I think the Bulls are in a great spot for sure. I still like the Bulls more than Washington, even with this news. Kuzma, though, is definitely a strong play. Now he's going to chalk. Man, yeah, we have to see who's going to be starting for what they're going to do at the big situation. But I like Rui a lot, even if he comes off the bench. I mean, when he's in, he's just absolutely chucks. Yeah, if he comes off the bench, he's definitely not going to get ownership too.
I mean, talking about potential game stacks off the board, if you want to get on the top of the leaderboard early here, Levine, Vucevic, Hachimura, Kuzma, right? I think would be the big four.
You had me forgetting I actually had a tournament team in there tonight. So, yeah, you're making me excited. Man, this could be the next game, too, could be an interesting one, especially if the news breaks our way. I mean, I don't know if we'll be waiting all night. Yeah, I'll be waiting all night.
One interesting thing about Chicago, you talk about Vooch starting at center. I mean, their backup center is Drummond, which would be tough for Hachimura to go up.
That's harder for sure. Because Vooch at least can sit out 3-point line. Like you're better off going small against Vooch than you are Drummond.
Yeah, so that's gonna be tough inside for Washington, no matter who they run out there tonight.
The chat's letting us know Porzingis and Gafford are out. Thank you. Yeah, we got that. So we can move on. Let's go to the next game title. You talked about if the news breaks our way. What would you want to see happen here? But just talk about this game in general. We got Minnesota, Detroit, waiting on the Ant news like you talked about. But how are you seeing this? And then how are you hoping to see this thing shake out?
Well, the Detroit side's already pretty good. They're already missing. I mean, they got ran off the court yesterday, but they're missing a lot. Jalen Duran's still out. Isaiah Stewart is out. Bogdanovic is playing, but Marvin Bagley's out as well. They're thin in the front court without Duran and Stewart. We saw Nerlens Noel yesterday. He's still min price at $3K. Man, he's min price. Like I think he's talking about centers and being very good. He's probably going to be one of the most popular centers. Only played 20 minutes, 20 DK points. Always a good play on FanDuel with the stock upside. He's still 3.7K there. So he's the one that stands out the most with how thin they are. But I like Sadiq Bey at 4.5, Killian Hayes at 5.8. I liked him a lot yesterday. The minutes, he didn't get his last rotation. He shot poorly. He was like 1 for 11. I'm good going right back to him. Diallo at 3.8K. Bogdanovic, Bohan. I mean, I think all these Detroit guys are good. And then the Minnesota side, we're talking game stacks. Anthony Edwards is questionable. If he's in, it's only Gobert or bust for me and 7.1K. I think both Noel and Gobert are two of the better center plays on the slate. But if Anthony Edwards gets ruled out, D-Russ at 7.4K, Kyle Anderson, slow-mo 5.4K, Jaden McDaniels 4.8K. I mean, all these guys get a bump. I think it's going to be a high-paced game. DC's the Minnesota guy, but first two games, look, I could game stack both these games and be happy. I mean, they're thin, and that's all we care about mainly in NBA DFS.
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead and take it away, DC, because again, we'll probably get this news shortly, but we don't know. When we get it, we'll circle back, but just give your thoughts on it. And then oftentimes on this show, we're doing if-then scenarios. So if Ant's out, what does that mean? If he's in, how do you play it from there? Let us know.
Yeah, if Ant is out, I mean, a lot of Minnesota comes in play. I think Minnesota is really dependent on if Anthony Edwards plays. He hasn't missed a game all season, and he has been questionable with the same hip injury for the last few games. So I do expect him to play. He just seems like a guy who wants to be out there. He's obviously playing fine with the injury. And I don't know, who wants to miss a matchup with Detroit, right? You can put up some numbers against them. So I do think Ant plays. If he does, probably mostly sticking to a possible Gobert. But, like, Gobert definitely falls behind Vucevic for me at this point with the potential upside that Vuce has against that undermanned Washington front court. But, yeah, I mean, we saw what, like, Harden and Embiid did to this Detroit team, similar Detroit team yesterday. Obviously, Minnesota's, they don't have James Harden, and Gobert is nothing close to Embiid, but, Gobert should dominate the boards against Nerlens Noel and whoever else Detroit runs out there at center. So 7,100 for Gobert, you got to consider that. And then we'll see with Anthony Edwards. D'Angelo Russell would be the guy that I would probably want to pair with Gobert, maybe Kyle Anderson as well if Anthony Edwards does miss. Detroit side is interesting. Getting Bogdanovic back is a pretty big deal for a team that was thin. He can kind of take the workload from some of those guys. Like, I was on Diallo yesterday, who did end up getting it done and 29 fantasy points for 3,500, I believe he was. It was a little weird they didn't play him more, though. I mean, he was like the only guy doing anything for them, and they took him out. He played just 10 minutes in the first half, despite like providing a huge spark off the bench. Then that game just turned into an absolute blowout. So we saw most of their starters not play much in the second half. But I mean, against Gobert and then Naz Reid, they're going to need Nerlens Noel if they're going to compete in this game. So I don't know. I mean, he didn't play that many minutes yesterday. Came out, 4 or 5 minutes into the third quarter, never came back in because the game got completely out of hand. But it seems like he maybe could play 30-plus minutes in this game. Tyler, what do you think on Noel?
I think probably at 30 would, I think more. I mean, I'd be a little surprised if it was over that. But
they
I
don't
mean,
have another center is the problem. It's like –
no,
If they're
right,
competing, I think they gotta let him go as many minutes as he can if he's getting the job done. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get into the low 30s here.
But
I mean, he doesn't even need 30 to smash at 3K. I mean,
20. You're gonna play him over, like we talked in the previous game about Taj. Noel's $100 cheaper at just even 3K. Played 20 minutes last night, put up almost 21 DK points. Not saying he's gonna do the same, but that would be the spot, I think. Like you said,
Noel over Taj for sure. I'll say that much.
DC, I got a name, Tambo, if you have any thoughts on it. Bojan Bogdanovic. I mean, man, not playing him 6.2K. I mean, I think he gets his full run. He was chucking before he left. A great spot. He's probably going to be 4% owned, and he has shown a ceiling. He's been the guy really in Detroit. I mean, what are your thoughts on him? It's 6'2". It's nerve-wracking clicking that name, but I mean, it could pay off, I think. Anyone?
Yeah, I don't mind it. He'll be super low owned, like you said. Can put up 40 at 6,200, especially if he keeps that Q tag next to him all the way up to lock. We'll see, but yeah, he'll be low owned despite being probable. So yeah, I don't mind that call at all. Especially if Edwards is out, right? And then you
just
play him
2,
3, 4 Timberwolves. He would be one of the Detroit guys I'd want to have on the big bet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know last night people were mad about Diallo. Really efficient off the bench. We knew he was still going to get his playing time, but I know people played Knox. Some guys in the chat just asked about Kevin Knox again. And he got 33 minutes, but did not perform. And you could have played guys in later games like Saric or different spots that ended up coming up where you could have just beat that play by a bunch. But it's the way it goes sometimes, right? And if you take some stands, I always, what I call them, title fake starters. He actually wasn't last night. He ended up playing a bunch more minutes, but I would have thought maybe we see Diallo. And I know, and that's the biggest thing, guys. If you're not a member at runpuresports.com yet, the Up to Lock show, like JSU was on there last night talking about, I like it better for Oladipo and Diallo off the bench. It sets them up well for success, and they're still priced very fairly where they can still beat that, or injury situations leading them to be able to be in the games longer, all of these factors. So, and now the chat's throwing in the never knocks. That could be a hashtag, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, it's just part of the game. We'll wait on this news. We'll see what we get. The chat, you guys can always let us know if you see the Ant news or as you see it pop up. I see nothing as of yet, so we can move on.
Knox is a scrub. Everyone's just hating on Knox. I guess his dad said his younger brother is much better, so he's on the come up. We'll see what his brother.
Really? His dad said his younger brother is better than Kevin.
We were playing a little Ultimate Texas Hold'em in Vegas. They were at a tournament. He's like, his dad very confidently was like, the younger one's way better.
Isn't that okay? So first of all, you're the dad. Right. You're your kids. Second of all, the first one's not really working out right now. You're like, but don't worry, exactly. The other one's better. He's coming soon. Like you just have to say that as a dad, I think. So
I think you're
I don't
right,
know.
But
We'll take his word for it for now. But in the meantime, let's move on. We got his old team actually coming up next. We got the Knicks at home against the Indiana Pacers title. I'll stick with you. Again, lower total, spreads all right, but what are you doing here in this game? This is some of the guys you like. Tyrese Haliburton. What are you doing here in this spot? Who are the guys you like in this one?
I like Tyrese at 9.2. I mean, I like Tyrese, period, but 9.2 on this slate, the floor just has been a little scary as of late, and I don't think the ceiling's really worth it. So, I mean, I like Julius Randle. I'll just keep going back to him. 10.5K. People are going to play Giannis. These Knicks guys are just playing 40 minutes. Anytime you get 40 minutes, the same thing with Toronto last year. I mean, they're going to chalk. Jalen Brunson, 8.2K. RJ Barrett's still out as well. Brunson, Randall, they keep getting the job done. I'll keep riding them. And then Mitch Rob at 5.4K too. If he stays out of foul trouble, his ceiling is there. 22 one game, 38 the next, 10, 29, 47, 12. You could definitely get a snowflake, but he's finally playing about 30 minutes. Can get in the upper 30s too. I always love his upside here. So mainly the Knicks side, Mitch Rob, Brunson, Julius Randle, love all of them. Probably going to stay away from the Pacers side, though.
The chat, man, just killing me. Who's his dad? LeVar Ball? Like, just
he was. That's pretty much. That's pretty much the impression. He was throwing some. He was throwing some money down too.
Hey, they got LaMelo right. I know that LaMelo's. I think LaMelo's super talented. He's awesome to watch. He's very good. But
Lonzo was coming into his own too before he got hurt. Lonzo, I felt bad for him, and now
he had some stuff happen, like you said, so that changes it a little bit. But yeah, LaMelo's fun to watch, man. DC, come to you on this one, man. You can chime in on LeVar, but I'd love to get a DC LeVar Ball take. But if you don't want to give that, you can just talk about the game. We got Indy and the Knicks. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like LeVar Ball. He gets a lot of hate, but I mean, the dude did the job, right? He gets his 2 runs to the NBA. Like, I don't care how you do it. Like, that's a good dad right there. So that's my opinion on LeVar Ball. I will say LaMelo Ball talented, but dude's got to start winning some games at some point. I mean, I don't know.
He's not a winning point guard right now.
So I would say, not all on him, but still, he is the leader, and man, the team not winning a lot. I'll say that on LaMelo. This game, I'm with title. Indiana just a little bit too healthier right now, and the prices are up. Probably not going to tough matchup too, right? New York, pretty good defensive team, playing hard under Thibodeau. Not the team I necessarily want to target tonight. But yeah, the Knicks side looks good. I mean, these guys are crushing every game. They have been doing even better with RJ Barrett out, who could potentially play in this game, coming back from a finger injury. If he does, you would assume he's going to be a full go. I think he would be enough to kind of take me off the Brunson train at 8,200, which is pretty much the highest we've seen him. I still think Randall will get his at 10.5. And then I do like the Mitrop call there. Just not very many players that can give you legit 40-plus fantasy point upside at 5,400. Yes, the floor is a little bit low, but, I mean, if he plays well, stays out of foul trouble, the minutes should be there. They have recently, and he's capable of big games. Certainly the matchup is good against Indiana, so I do like that Mitrop call by title.
Yeah, I like Mitrop. I think a little bit. We don't talk a lot about this, but I mean, tonight's the $2,500 mega on DraftKings. A lot of people in there. Our guy Falix, StubHub. That if you get in on tickets and stuff, that's how I play it. I got 1 ticket, so I'm in, but it's not something everybody's buying into that's probably watching this show. I will say though, on FanDuel, there's some good tournaments over there still. Mitrop 6,200 over there. Not too bad considering he's a stocks guy too, right? Like you said, he can just rack it up over on a site like that. It's a 1Z position where you can only play the one center. Again, you can multiple position eligibility. You could get some guys in at power forward that maybe play center as well. But you know what I mean when it comes to that. So Mitch Rob on FanDuel, maybe a little bit more, but still good on DraftKings at 5,400 title. Anything else here that you want to add on this one? I know that like DC said, if you get RJ Barrett coming back, makes it a little tougher because Randall and Brunson, their prices from the great production have now been pushed up. But that was without him. Now, if he's coming back, it may be a little bit tougher. Anything else you want to add here before we go to this next one?
Yeah, I still think Brunson or Randall would be fine. I definitely would just max 1 if so. The ball's still going to run through him a lot. Definitely a downgrade, though, if Barrett is in. But Mitch Rob, I'm glad you guys liked it, too. I mean, anytime you 5% own, we're talking a lot of it has to do with just the center position. He'll 10 teams, 15 teams will have him in the millie or something like that, and he has that 40-plus point upside. So I'm considering it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And like I said, at 5,400, it's still a fair price. And like DC said, in these tournaments, that's what it comes down to, right? You got to take your shots on some of these guys and hope that you get that 47 or 48 out of them, and then you're set, right? You're laughing at some of these other spots. So I don't hate that. Let's go back to you here, Title. Let's go with the New Orleans Pelicans, Boston Celtics. Waiting on a little bit of news here as well. I believe Smart, Robert Williams. You can let me know. Herb Jones, I think maybe too. Anybody else in this one that we're watching for?
No, Herb Jones doubtful, but yeah, Smart and Robert Williams is questionable, which is pretty big news on this slate. If they're in, I don't think I'll get to anyone on Boston. That'd be pretty much a healthy team, 8-game slate. I don't think we need to go there. Of course, if you want to play Tatum at 10-8, I'll never say no. But I like other studs more. As far as the Pelicans side, they are getting a little healthier. I mean, they're still without Zion and Brandon Ingram, but nothing has changed with the secondary guys. I don't know, Jovel at 6'6". I don't know if I really want to do that. Najee Marshall's now priced up 5'8". Alvarado 4'4". I mean, all these guys fine as a last piece, sure. But I think this is more of a fade this whole game and find another one now that I'm talking more through it.
Yeah, I really like I really like Title. I like my boy Title too, but I really like Tatum coming into this one. I just think, again, he's always a guy that you can keep on your board. I got no problem if you're playing him tonight at all. Like, he's fine, but The challenge I've had lately with Tatum, just watching him, you can check back some of the game logs and stuff, is when he plays somebody good, he plays up. If the other team is without their stud, it's kind of like he just lets whatever happen. It's almost like he needs someone on the opposite side in there to keep him motivated. So the chat's talking about, I think Robert Williams, DC, biggest news here to watch. Like it could boost J-Val on the other side.
If he's out, Horford, if he's out, I would say would be my favorite for sure.
And then in the same game, I was just going to say Horford at 4,600.
I know, and everyone's going to say no. Like everyone's going to remember that performance too, which recency bias will keep the ownership a little lower. But DC explained why and distilled no.
Well, at least 3 teams won't have Horford because I'm not playing Horford on my squad. I don't know. I'll just leave Al Horford to someone else. Even his big games are like 27 fantasy points or something, which obviously is pretty good at 4,600, but not necessarily enough to take down tournaments. So I'm not going to Horford either way. I think there are better centers, much higher upside centers at least. On the slate, smart news, yeah, I mean, if he's out, I don't know, Brogdon and White, it's just kind of hard for those guys to get there too, right, with how much Tatum and Brown kind of soak up the usage. So I don't see a ton here. Obviously, Boston, a really good defensive team as well. New Orleans starting to get at least a little bit healthier, but it's just not a team I want to target the Pelicans going into Boston. So, yeah, unless something changes with this game, I'm probably looking elsewhere. The last 2 games are both better spots, and there's more better spots coming up ahead of us too.
Yeah, we'll talk about another spot in a second. Before we do, I want to talk about a new sponsor for you guys. Got a new sponsor, www.hitthelike.com. Takes 2 seconds. It's absolutely free. We've got almost 700 watching, so we're at 225. Got to get to 400 for the plays of the day. And I got the locks play of the day separate as well. So I'm going to be bringing that one to you as well on the show at the end. So hit the like button. It's very easy. It's free. It takes 2 seconds. You can use a mouse. You can click it on your phone. There's a subscribe button there. There's lots of ways to do it. It's very simple. We appreciate it. Bring all these free shows. Got more free shows coming to you this week as well. We did one this morning. Going to have one each of the next 2 days. Underdog.com. We've got the Underdog shows for the best ball playoffs. Title, I know you were on one. You've got it set up. You've been on a couple other ones that we're doing. So going to be another one tomorrow. Myself, Big T, and Meg on there talking through it. So it should be a lot of fun. 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. If you guys aren't signed up for these yet at Underdog, go there now. Use promo code RUNPURE. Sign up. Get the bonus. 100% deposit bonus up to your first $100 free. So turn your 100 into 200 and get started for these playoffs. Check that out. Promo code RUNPURE. Title, come back to you, man. Milwaukee, Atlanta. Got the news earlier today. Trae Young, right? So we're looking at how free is Murray at 8,200. And then, of course, you got your team in this game. We got the Bucks. We got Giannis. What do we want to do here in this spot?
Yeah, so we'll start with the Hawks side because Trae Young out, Clint Capella is still out. DeJounte's 8-2. He's going to be the highest owned guy in the slate. Zach LaVine's right in that range too. A lot of people start their lineups. Zach LaVine and DeJounte Murray. Giannis is also in the spot at 11.8K too. And if people go up for a spend, I think right there we're talking about 3 of the highest owned guys in the upper tier. But staying on the Hawks side, yeah, DeJounte's a great play at 8-2. He smashed in this spot last time. Trae missed. The last time these two played, they had like a weekend series. They played, then had a couple of days off and played again. I know Trae missed one of these games, then DeJounte smashed. And the Hawks ran the Bucks off the court. Giannis, man, I'm jumping around a little bit, but Giannis, we have to talk about it. Played the Hawks 3 times, I believe, this year. First game, 64. He had a good game. The next 2, though, 41 and 40. Okongwu's length really bothered Giannis low. John Collins' athleticism. This is a tougher matchup for Giannis, even with this a pretty high total. Man, if he's going to be one of the most popular guys, I don't think I'm going to get to Giannis in my tournament team, just because I'm nervous with the Okongwu athleticism and the bodies they can throw out there. Hunter does a good job. Am I going to play anyone but DeJounte? I don't know. I think Hunter would be fine. Okongwu at 5'7" would be fine. He's going to be very low at the center position. Bogdanović would be fine. Those are the only 4 I'd probably go to, but it might just be DeJounte and nothing else for me in this one. I'm not going to get Giannis looks like a solid cash play. He's going to get ownership. There's not Luka on the slates and stuff like that. But, man, I don't know. I'm a little nervous just the eye test and seeing what Atlanta's done to him.
Yeah, I think you brought up a few good points there. I'll let DC go first and I'll talk about it. But DC, give us your thoughts on this one. You can run off what Title said and then add your own thoughts as well.
Yeah, I get that with Giannis. He's looked I don't know. Like he looked slow in that. What was the game where the Toronto game? He eventually got there in overtime, but looked tired. Then they got blown out by the Hornets a couple days later. Yeah, I don't know what to think about Giannis right now. I'm kind of inclined to fade him for the most part. But I do think this is another one where you can stack it up if you want to, because the Hawks missing Trae Young, missing Clint Capella. I mean, they've only got a few guys that are really going to put up fantasy points, right? DeJounte, I think, obviously a good play. Hunter has been playing really well. If you look at what he's doing, it's 30 to 40 fantasy points most nights. And then, one of Okongwu or John Collins seems to go off every night. Sometimes both of them, because they're really down to just kind of the two big men. And if one of them gets in foul trouble, could be either one. The other one's really got to step up in that scenario. And with Giannis, that's the biggest part of their offense is Giannis basically just trying to get to the rim. So you could easily see Okongwu and or John Collins get in foul trouble, and all of a sudden one of the two becomes pretty good play. So obviously the run backs with Milwaukee are obvious enough, Giannis himself, and then Drew Holiday I think you could play as well. So I do think this game could potentially be high scoring and stay close, and there could be some really high scoring plays in this game. Could go the other direction too, though. So I don't often say this, but I kind of look at this one as kind of a if I'm playing DeJounte and John Collins, I kind of want the Giannis run back on this one, to be honest. So kind of a game stack or bust here. I think you can fade this entire game, though, if you want to. Could be more defensive, and I don't know. You could see Milwaukee kind of throttle this team a little bit without Trae Young. So I guess I have mixed feelings on this game, but yeah, probably a complete fade, or I'll grab some expensive pieces from it and stack them together.
Yeah, me as well. Actually, with the last part you just said, I mean, Murray looks great at 8,200. It seems very cheap. I know that you've got other guys in that range that people are going to look at. I know you can play different positions too, but when you have Levine, assuming that DeRozan being doubtful ends up being out, you've got Brunson, who we already talked about earlier, 8,200. You've got some of these guys at different positions, similar price points to set your lineup up differently. There is other options. And if you saw that, DC, where it was just a floor game for Giannis, a floor game for Murray, I mean, I think there's going to be enough ownership that's going there where if you just left it alone and tried to find other spots, it may be a little bit risky on your part, or you feel kind of, you have that FOMO because you're not on anybody in the game. But if you get it right, it could really set you up for success down the stretch.
What do you like better title, Levine or Murray?
I like Murray. I mean, I feel way more comfortable with the peripherals.
No, I guess I'm a Murray fan, but I'll take Levine in this one. I don't know. I just think Levine just has to chuck almost with this Bulls team.
Yeah, and Title, the chat asked you about like Murray chalk. How good is it to you? And then also just in general, when you went off it, like what about the Drew defense on the other side? You can talk more about that.
Yeah, I believe Drew played in their last matchup too, DeJounte. I mean, the thing is, there's so many pick and rolls. Like how much Drew against Jalen Brunson. Like if you faded Jalen Brunson a couple nights ago because you're worried about Drew, put up 44 real DK or 44 real ones, 59 DK points or something. I mean, the NBA is just so much more than, I mean, transition is a big part of it. Minutes are not aligned every single second in the regular season or playoffs. They can focus on it more. I don't look into it nearly as much. The DeJounte chalk, yeah, I mean, kind of me answering DeJounte over Levine. They're both very strong plays. The only thing why I say it, the floor, I just feel better. DeJounte is a better rebounder, can get more assists, whereas Levine more is scoring dependent. So I'd like DeJounte chalk, but I mean, any chalk and bust, and it's an 8-game slate. There's pivots everywhere. So it's a fun slate.
There is. In the chat talked about it too. Like you said, his last matchup was like 57 DK points on him. Talked about Brunson dropping almost 60 on him the other night. So even if Drew is there and defending, obviously his defense is solid, but there's lots of other ways these guys can find to get there. And then especially tonight, we talk about it all the time, the availability, right? If you've got, sometimes the best ability is availability, but now we're also talking about a guy like Murray, who's a stud in his own right that can get up points and put up DraftKings points in a hurry. So I'm with you there. DC, anything else to add there, man? If not, we can go to the Spurs and Memphis, and I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, we'll go to this game. Another one with a big spread, a few of those tonight. Grizzlies 13.5 point favorites. High total too, 239. You see that in obviously most Spurs games. They don't really play any defense or even, frankly, have the ability to. Clark's still out. Brandon Clark's still out for Memphis, so that is a bump to guys to Steven Adams. And I think to Jaren Jackson Jr., who I've been really impressed with him recently. He kind of seems like he's taken another level. Perfect matchup here against the Spurs. I think he's kind of a player who could go overlooked at that $7,300 price tag. This is one where I don't want to game stack this one, right? Like, because I don't think if Ja's going off, if Jaren Jackson is going off, I can't see the Spurs competing. And then I don't think you're going to get the fourth quarter out of either guy. So I'm probably picking, one Memphis guy as kind of my stud in this game if I'm going to the Grizzlies at all. My two favorites, definitely John Morant and Jaren Jackson. I think both guys will be pretty low owned. I'll take Jackson just with the big price discount. Can play him at a bunch of different positions. He's power forward, center eligible. Obviously, can slide him in that forward spot as well. So yeah, Jaren Jackson, my favorite play in this game. And in the Spurs side, just not a team I like to play if I can avoid it. Sometimes they got so many guys out that you almost have to play somebody. But assuming they get Keldon Johnson back tonight, he's currently questionable. Probably a team I'll avoid. Memphis, really strong defensively. They're at home, and I mean the Spurs want to lose. They're in tank mode already, so yeah, probably going to veer away from the Spurs myself.
Jackson, I like that call. Just with setup, like you said, he's actually put up some big games recently, 45, 53, things like that. And he's not even, it's not super efficient. Like one game was like 7 for 17 or something from the floor. So, I mean, he can definitely put up more than that too. So I could see that being a thing. One thing, Title, before you go to this game, the chat did mention enough times on AJ Griffin. Anything you wanted to add on him in the last game there? He's 3,200.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the worst play. I think I prefer the Bulls cheap guys more, the Ios, the Carusos. We're going to still get to the Suns. Sure, if you have a lean on him, I guess, but no strong. I mean, he's in play, but I like other value more, I think.
Yeah, I see it the same way. I didn't see him pop enough. I think, again, it's not ideal because he's 5K, but DC mentioned Hunter, who's been going for 30 plenty. So it's not like that's the worst to get 6X off your guy. Just can't guarantee that's going to happen. But obviously, we have
enough value too. So you can get up to Hunter and figure out the lineup.
Yeah, I agree. All right, take us into this one, Title. Spurs, Memphis, DC talked about it. You bring your thoughts in on this one.
Yeah, not too much interest in this game. I mean, the Spurs side, it's all about Keldon. If Keldon is ruled in, I think you can fade this team and feel good about it. If he's out, though, they're still without Devin Vassell. I go right back to Trey Jones at 6'5", Jakob Poeltl at 6'3". If Josh Richardson, he's questionable as well. If he misses, or no, he's not questionable. Bates Diaw is questionable. I don't think we really need to go Doug McDermott on a slate like this. So probably just Keldon News, Trey Jones, Jakob Poeltl would be in play if he's ruled out. As far as the Memphis side, it's Ja if you want it. I think I like other spend ups more, but I'll never say no to a low owned Ja. I get the Jaren Jackson play too. I mean, anytime he can keep his hands to himself, he always has that ceiling. He has his whole career. So if I mean, he could break I would not be surprised if someone wins $1 million because of Jaren Jackson tonight. I think I'd go the Ja route if I went anywhere, but not a game you need too much of.
Yeah, $3,000 less, different position. I'll never say no to Ja. I personally love it. I just think this is not. Listen, we'll see if we get to the plays of the day. We're 100 likes shy. We got 2 full games to go. We got Lox's play, my play. These guys have their plays, but Ja would not be my play of the day. I will say that. Like I don't hate him, Title. I just think, like you said, it's not something we're stacking up. Just pick a one-off here, and we'll see where the value brings us tonight. There's another guy I like that we still haven't talked about yet, but let's move on. DC, I'll go back to you, man. We got Phoenix, Denver. This is the one everybody wants to talk about. Probably spend the most time here. I mean, there's a lot of angles and a lot of ways to attack this, but I don't know what you're seeing for ownership tonight. Obviously, they're getting some ownership. I mean, look at the spot. Dwayne Washington's going to be the most popular guy in the slate, but I'm saying there is at least some people talking about the setup here where, it's the back-to-back. It's going in on the road. You're going back on the road to Denver, all the other factors that go with it, but some of these guys are young, man. Like they can do another night on the road. I don't know if it's going to kill them. And I think that brings an interesting strategic point to this game because I looked it up and the spread was like 12 points last night and then they win the game. Tonight's no different, 13.5 in Denver. I don't know if they'll win it, but the point would be if they could somehow stay in it again, that would be a spot to load up. Give me your thoughts on this one, DC.
Yeah, I mean, they played awesome last night. They obviously were very much up for the game. Came through with a huge upset victory, one of the biggest upsets that we've seen all year long, frankly, in the NBA. But I'm kind of with the lines makers on this one. I'll be surprised if they can do it 2 times in a row going into Denver. Does Denver have the best record in the West? I think they might. They're playing really, really well. They're healthy. Obviously, Joker looks to me like he's closing in on his 3rd straight MVP. Just an absolute boss and hard to believe, Bismack and Jock Landale can slow him down. So I kind of think this one goes Denver's way, but you never know. I mean, we saw it last night. They're certainly capable of competing. And we saw last night what's going to happen with Phoenix if they do play well, right? I mean, how many guys got there for Phoenix? Washington got there.
Saric, Bridges.
Washington, Saric, Lee, Bridges, obviously.
Torrey Craig.
Yeah, Craig got there. And then even, Biombo only played 17 minutes. He still got 22 fantasy points. Landale kind of fizzled out in the second half, but
everyone but Landale.
Yeah, pretty much everybody but Landale who I did play in a couple lives. But I mean, they're just so cheap that if they do play well, if they do put up, 110, 115 points, some of these guys almost have to get there by default. So you can't ignore this team. It's just last night, we got Saric at, I think he was 10 to 15% owned on most in most tournaments. Now I'm seeing projected at 50% ownership, which, even on a bigger slate than it was last night. So that makes me a little bit nervous. But yeah, I mean, I kind of want to roster these Phoenix guys as a group as well, because I think they kind of all got to play well together to get there. But which ones? I mean, it's kind of hard for me to choose between guys like Lee, Torrey Craig, the two centers, Landale and Biombo, probably going to split those minutes pretty close to down the middle. So Saric, obviously. So I do think you got to have a piece or two from Phoenix. And then if you think they can, stick with them, probably got to have 2 or 3, I would imagine, maybe up to 4 Phoenix guys I think would be okay tonight. And this is another game where you got the obvious run back in the Joker who can, you would expect him to have a big game here against Biombo and Landale on the second half of a back-to-back. So Joker could easily be the top scoring guy on the slate. And it looks like he is going to be lower owned, I think, than Giannis. It looks like it's going to be significant. So, yeah, I certainly like the Joker doing his thing here against this Phoenix team.
But how does he get there in a blowout, DC? That's the question, right? Everyone.
That's what I said. I like it. Play Washington, Saric, Torrey Craig, and then play Joker on the other side, and you've got certainly a path to the top there.
I agree. The chat is killing me right now because one guy kept saying DDR is out, and then they started saying Booker out and CP3 is out. So I just joined in the fun. Can we please just list? Yeah, Anford, list all the guys who are out tonight for us in the chat. As I always say, if you can type, you can hit the like. So do that while you're here. We're almost there. I think we got pushing 350 now. We're gonna get to it. Title. Let's talk more on this game. You got to talk your side, but again, how many are too many? Some people want to play 4 of them. Okogie, didn't hear Biombo. There's a lot of different angles you can take beyond just the common names that people are saying and the Dwayne Washingtons of the world. But what are your thoughts on this one, Title? Give me some other guys that you like, some other ways you can set this up in your tournaments.
Yeah, I wouldn't play more than 4. I do know that. There's so many in play though. Yeah, what DC talked about, Washington and Sarge, two of the more popular plays on this slate. Bismack and Landale, people are going to play both of them at center. I would definitely make a rule max one of them. They're not sharing the court together. I like Landale more. I think he has more upside. Bismack, I just feel like it's capped more. So Landale's my choice there. But I think I like guys like Torrey Craig and Mikal Bridges and Saric and Washington, all those guys more than I like the centers. Torrey Craig, he shot awful yesterday too. 5 for 16. He still got there. He rebounds. He's very good for his size, and they need his rebounding out there. They will again today. Mikal Bridges plays 40-plus minutes. We know what he does coming off a big game too. So I think not going a center in tournaments and playing some of these other pieces is my preferred route, the wings, the guards. As far as the Denver side, it's definitely Jokic, but also Jamal Murray, 6.9K. Nobody is going to play him. But man, he's coming off one of his better games. He absolutely was chucking. He had his usage above 30%. I believe he shot 29 times. I will play Jamal Murray. 35 minutes, shot 13 for 29, 5 from 9 behind the arc, 34 real points, 53 DK points. Can get some peripheral stats as well. I don't mind if you can't afford a Jokic. You play multiple Suns guys. You run out Jamal Murray, and then you can play a Giannis or something. You completely get on a different game stack. If everyone plays multiple Suns guys, people are going to go Jokic. No one's going to go anyone else on that side. But yeah, Jokic also a good play. Would max 1 in Denver, no doubt. These Suns are good plays, though. No doubt about it. Max 4, and I will say Torrey Craig, for the ownership I see, I think he'd be my favorite out of all of them.
Who do you like pairing with him the most, though? Like, if you go him, do you want Dwayne Washington still? Is there other guys that you wouldn't put with him? Like, rules are the toughest part when it comes to this spot, right? Because everyone's like, okay, can I put, like last night with Miami, it was the same thing. Or I don't know if it was last night or the night before, when it was like I think it was last night, Highsmith, Oladipo, Vincent, Struss, whatever you want to call it. All these guys, people are mixing and matching and trying to figure out who they can play with who. If you were playing Craig, is there any that you would be sure to include, or is there others that you would exclude? That's what most people are trying to figure out when they're setting up this stack.
I think I would probably not go Biyombo or Landale. Just maybe they go more small ball 5, even though it's really tough against Jokic. You still could play one of them. They're really the only rule is Biyombo, Landale, max 1 of them. I love Dwayne Washington. I mean, you get a starting point guard playing 30 minutes at a usage at 40%. The dude's just chucking. So that's good chalk in my opinion. Sarge playing over. I'll definitely fade Sarge over Washington. Talk about the 2 higher owned guys on the Suns, but he's playing over 30 minutes too. They need his size against Jokic. So really the only rule is Biyombo, Landale, max 1. I think you can play all these other guys together. I mean, they're all athletic guys that can handle the ball, can shoot the ball. Their offense, they play for the open look. It's not ISO, so they all work together.
Yeah, I will say, and I'll let DC get final thoughts here before we go to that last game, but Saric is the one that looks really good, right? $3,500, so many options. I know most will say like it's chasing after last night. This is what I always say. You guys have watched all these shows. I've heard it a million times. I say it in every sport because to me it's true. I don't need him to give me 41 again. Like, that'd be lovely. I would love to take 41 from $3,500 Saric again tonight. But if he comes up short and doesn't completely go off and only gets me 31 or 32, I'm not going to be that mad about it if I end up with that score. It's still solid at $3,500, obviously. So, DC, other thoughts for you here? Any thoughts on those groupings or pairings or how you're mixing these guys up that I mentioned, or anything else you want to add within this game?
Yeah, I mean, the Suns, if you're playing that side, you can play – 4, I think, is totally fine. And, Sarge, I mean, 3,500. How much can he really hurt you at that price point? So I like that call. But all these guys look like good point per dollar plays. Washington, Bridges, Craig, Saric. Yeah, I'm with Title. Max 1 of the centers. And I do think, I mean, we did see Phoenix at times go away from both Biyombo and Landale last night. Saric can play center, I think, against Jokic. So you could see them go small. Like Biyombo, I mean, I'll watch that game. He played like as well as he can play, and they still only played him 17 minutes. So I think I'll probably end up going away from him, maybe hoping the Suns go with some small ball and the game shoots out a little bit.
Yeah, I like that call quite a bit, actually. So this is the last one, Title. If nothing else to add, man, we're about 45 likes shy, so we still got time to get there. I'm confident the people will come through. We've got almost 800 watching, 45 more likes to go. The plays of the day are just sitting right there. So all you got to do is take that 2 seconds. We've got time in the show. It was an 8-game slate. We bantered a little bit back and forth, but we ended up here. So it's the last game. The interesting part, though, is, Title, the chat has been trying to slam and smash this game into our heads and lineups the entire night. In the chat, they're talking about the Keegan stack and the Fox stack and get all these guys in here. Late game hammer. Give us your thoughts on this one. We know we've got a good total. The spread's 9. It's not crazy, but 2 teams that can definitely go back and forth here. So what are your thoughts on this one, Title?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like anytime Sacramento and Houston play each other, the game goes off. 2 high-paced teams don't play much defense. Total second highest on the slate. I've been a sucker for Foxes of late. He cost me pretty. Would have had 2 tickets in this thing tonight if it wasn't for Fox's 29 snowflake a couple nights ago. So
you've been running so bad lately too, man. I can't believe
it's making me,
more Title can't afford another ticket.
Yeah.
So it's making me think, does Fox redeem himself and you plug him in as the late night hammer in this one and make it 3 days of the past 5 shows that I've kept going to him? But man, it feels like a great spot at 8-9. Sabonis, it feels like a great spot. Really think one of these 2 I just think crushes. But the problem is you have to get which one right, otherwise you're not shipping anything. I lean Fox. I like the savings. I like the matchup for him. Going to have the ball in his hand a ton, triple-double upside. So 8.9K, he's going to be very low owned. Everyone's going to go Levine in that boat. Everyone's going to go I'm blanking on the other chalk guy, right? Oh,
Murray.
DeJounte. Yeah, DeJounte. Or they're just going to go all the way up to Giannis. So he's in a dead zone right there, which will keep his ownership a little lower. And you have run backs. If you go Fox or Sabonis, I like Sengun at center. Don't think people go him at a good center position. Keep people talking. Kevin Porter Jr. 7-8, I think is fine. KJ Martin, I think there's better value. Probably KPJ or Sengun is the run back. If I go Fox or Sabonis, I would make sure I play one of those guys together. Hope you get back and forth. I lean going Fox and KPJ though. Just get the guards going back and forth with each other. Very low owned night stack. You can play all the chalk, play all the Suns around them, play anything else you want. That's how you get different in your roster. I see people talking Keegan Murray. I don't know if he's flow chart play or something. Jabari Smith. I think I would use those guys in game stacks. I probably wouldn't one off either of them, but I like Fox. I like Sabonis. I like KPJ. I like Sengun. And I think this game's going to be pretty low owned.
Yeah, I always get the creative juices flowing, and I didn't forget about you, DC. I'll come to you to round this one out, but I always like to mess with the chat a little bit when we get these thoughts in there. You mentioned a title, and then immediately my brain goes to how does this work? If you look at every single lineup that's going to have LaVine and Murray tonight, they're 16-1 in 2 guard spots. Every lineup is going to be laced with Phoenix guys to go with that. It's a 2v2 with a couple $100 more in your favor to go to Jamal Murray to get into that game stack with the Phoenix guys and late hammer De'Aaron Fox. And you leave the Murray chalk out and you leave the other spot out with LaVine that we talked about. And hopefully it just balances some and LaVine goes okay, but only gets 42, what we said, 35 and 44 DK. Vooch has an okay game, but it's not too much in that spot left alone. Giannis and Murray, floor games left alone. Now you're sitting here. I just think that's always an interesting way that you could set things up where you didn't go crazy. You didn't find some diamond in the rough. You correlated the play with the standard stack that everybody else is doing with these Phoenix guys. And then you've got a late hammer and Fox in there that is tilting, but it could work. So DC, give me your thoughts on that. And then anything else you want to add to this spot as we round things out. We're about to hit the 400 likes, so we will be getting to the plays of the day.
Yeah, I like what both you guys are saying. I don't know. Did you mention Malik Monk? I was kind of looking through the game.
He's in play too.
He's another guy. I mean, he's obviously very, very different player than Mitch Robinson, but kind of reminds me of him just in terms of the distribution of his scoring, where he's got a lot of duds in there, but he'll just get hot from the field and just kind of take off randomly. And against this game against Houston, or in this game against Houston, and a guy that nobody's going to play is 4,400. I think people are going to go to Murray. They're going to go to Fox. I like the pivot to Malik Monk as kind of a low-owned play in this game. Someone that you can play by himself in this one, right? You don't need to correlate him with anybody if you don't want to. So he's a guy that I'm looking at a little bit from Sacramento. I do think his minutes become a little bit more secure if Kevin Huerter does end up missing. So maybe pay attention to that. But yeah, he's an off-the-wall play that I like. And yeah, I mean, this is another one. If you want to stack this game up, you can certainly do it. I do worry a little bit about Fox's upside when Sabonis is in there. Just doesn't seem to, rarely eclipsing 50 fantasy points, which you need at 8,900. So, yeah, I'd probably want to include him in a game stack, maybe get the overtime or something like that. But most likely I won't end up on a ton of this game myself. I just kind of like some of those other spots so much that probably won't have the spots open to get to this game. But super high total, could stay close. And like Title said, these games usually do take off. So, yeah, certainly understand people going to Houston, Sacramento. We did sorry to steal your hosting duties from you.
Go for it. You're there. Take it away.
We did get the news. RJ Barrett going to play for the Knicks. I certainly think that downgrades Jalen Brunson the most. It does hurt Randall a little bit too. I don't think it really affects Mitchell Robinson. That would be my take on it. And then Marcus Smart going to miss. He is out. So kind of
Robert Williams too.
Williams is out. Yeah, I didn't see that. So Smart.
Come on, if you're going to steal the hosting duties, you got to get involved.
So yeah, Williams out. Obviously, people are going to play Horford. I will leave the people to do so. Not going to be on my lineups. And Smart out, I think it kind of just bumps everybody, right? A little bit. I would say Brogdon would be number one, but White, Brogdon, Brown, Tatum all get little bumps with Smart out.
Yeah, Tatum I talked about earlier. You could definitely like him coming into the spot. Title, anything else you want to add with those injuries and stuff that just popped up for guys in and out? Anything you want to add with that? If not, we'll move on to the plays of the day. Let us know first on that, then I'll start with DC.
Yeah, I think DC broke it down well. RJ Barrett being in, I think, hurts everyone on New York except Mitch Robb. I agree with all that. Won't have a minutes limit either. I mean, Brunson's still going to play about 40 minutes. Julius Randle's still going to play about 40 minutes. I think they're both good contrarian spends. Brunson's right in the range of DeJounte and Levine, so they're contrarian pivot there. Randle in a dead zone, so I'm good with it. It definitely hurts it a little more, though. As far as the Boston, yeah, I'll be looking at Horford. I know I will. Hopefully I don't click the name for my sake, but hey, I mean, there's always tomorrow, as we say, if you click and it goes wrong again. So that's all I got.
I got one more before we get to DC's play of the day. Our guy Butthole Jenkins is in the chat. The M in Murray stands for Millie, maybe. Mega Millie,
Keegan,
Mega Millie money.
DeJounte,
Keegan, and he's got Jamal. We talked about all of them. So
I like Jamal.
You could put all those guys into your lineups tonight, and that could be a way to get there. You got all the M's and win the M's tonight.
Don't play all the holidays. I'll just say that. Even though they're all played on the same court, don't be playing that reunion.
All right, that's going to do it, guys. We appreciate it. You guys came through for us. We get to 407. Like, the people have no shame. It's like he said 400, I'll hit 400. And then like 7 people that kind of were running behind on it or don't notice still hit it and then cut it off. It's done. We got to the number. They know what they did. So let's start it off, DC. I'll go to you. We got the Mom's Basement play of the day. What do you got?
Yeah, we're going to go in one of those first games of the night with Porzingis out, with Gafford out, with Bradley Beal out. I think Kyle Kuzma could be in line for a big game for the Wizards here. He's going to have to carry a lot of that scoring load. And, Tyler, do you remember, I think it was last year when the Wizards were really short in the front court, and Kuzma had a run of games where he was getting like 12 or 13 rebounds per night. And we don't know who's going to play a lot of the minutes at center. We think Taj Gibson likely to start, but how long is he going to be out there? And I don't know. Taj is an old man. You could see him focused on keeping Vucevic off the board. Maybe Kuzma is the one collecting those uncontested defensive rebounds. So, yeah.
What's his prop? What's that prop sitting at?
I don't know, but I'm going to hit the little Kuzma double-double prop, best one I can find after the show. So, Kyle Kuzma, Mom's Basement play of the day.
Like it. Like, makes perfect sense. Again, not someone that I'll see get super steamed up either, just the way the slate's shaken out and all the other value in that. Obviously, they have the injuries with Gafford and Porzingis, but you never know how the ownership's going to be. It's probably not going to be too heavy, though. So definitely like that one. I'll give out Lox's play. I don't got the graphic for it yet, but he said he wanted to bring it to the show, had something he had to step away for. So shout out to our guy Lox. Hopefully everything's all good. But just to let you guys know, his play of the day, and it just got better, was Jason Tatum. So that's why I brought it up earlier, see if we could get to that likes number. But he liked Jason Tatum already, and now we got the news of these other guys being out. So definitely like that. Before I get to the last one, I'm going to go to mine. We got the Tambo, Lambo, Rambo play of the day. And DC stole my thunder on this one. I was going to it, man. I said I wanted to save it for later. I had another big dog that I wanted to talk about. You said it perfectly, DC. I thought I like Title's call on Jamal Murray, and I like that little run back I brought up. But I was going to be on Jokic beforehand. He's coming in way lower owned, it looks like, than Giannis. He's smashed in these other games. He smashed this same team up. I think it was on Christmas, different setup, and the game's a little bit different. But in other blowouts, he beat Washington. It was like 141 to 120, and he still had 88. Like, this is a guy that can go out and put up 80 plus any given game, and he can be the reason for the blowout. You're already playing the Phoenix guys, and I definitely think there's a possibility that it could just be a thing that people say. This is a much better team than the Warriors. Back-to-backs in Denver is a thing, but we could definitely see a spot where these young guys still get up for this game and have a good run back and forth, and maybe they get blown out 145 to 120. That can still be a huge game for them and a huge game for Jokic where you require all of those pieces. Title, last one of the day, man. Before we get out of here, we've got Don't Do It To Me. Okay, our other guy knows Title. The SO play of the day. None of this Swaze bullshit. We got the SO play of the day. Title, what do you got for us, man? What's the pick of the day for you?
SO is back every day, thanks to you and Big T, so I appreciate that. Back where I like it. And also, Kyle Kuzma double-double, plus 125 on FanDuel, 7.5 rebounds, minus 135. Thank you, Lil Biz and Tyler. But yeah, you guys went up top a little bit. I'll stay in the lower range. Give me the first game, though, with DC. I thought he was going to take it from me. I was getting scared. 4.6K, Rui Hachimura. Don't care if he doesn't start. They're going to need his size, going to need his rebounding. He's going to chuck when he's in the game. I think he's an interesting gets you – everyone's going Suns value. There's Bulls value. Gets you in a little different price range, similar to DeAndre Hunter, who we were talking about. been a Rui guy for a while. I think he pays off tonight. So Rui Hachimura, the SO play of the day.
Love it, man. And round out the show title, I'll just tell you, remember at the top of the show before we went live, I said, what about slow-mo? And now Kyle Anderson is questionable, downgraded to questionable with a sickness or an illness. So we'll see how it shakes out. That could move some stuff over there. Obviously, they've got other guys that you can talk about, but we'll leave it for the rest of the shows that we've got. We've got the Up to Lock show coming up next. If you're not a member, get over to runpuresports.com. We got a lot of stuff going on. Golf is back. You guys know I always got to plug that. So find me on Twitter at ToeTag and Tambo. The tidbits are out for this week. We just did the premium show, myself and Hoop, and then all sports, one price, best spot to be. Thank you guys all for watching. We appreciate you. For Title, for DC, and for myself, ToeTag and Tambo. We'll see you guys next time.